So in this video, I want to talk about the publishing process. How does an idea that you have in your head go from something right there to appearing in the pages of a magazine, newspaper, or website, or whatever? Uh, this is a basic nuts and bolts tour. If you've already written a lot in the past, this might not be new information for you, so just skip to the next video. However, what I want to say, it takes about 6 months for an idea to go from in your head all the way to being printed in a major magazine. For these, I'm talking about Wired or Rolling Stone or Men's Health or Vogue or anything like that. There are also faster ways to go with, obviously, the web could be almost instant. But let's just, for now, talk about the mainstream publications. First starts with a pitch to an editor. This is where you sell your idea. You are passionate about it. You write the best pitch, and we'll talk about how to do that a little bit later. But you write this pitch, and it goes off to an editor, and hallelujah, they accept it. Now, that can take anywhere from a minute, like you send out the email and it lands in their inbox and like, oh, great, awesome, and they just give you the assignment, or more likely weeks upon painful weeks to get a pitch accepted. However, once it is accepted, you have just started the process. What you're doing next is you're going to research your work, and this could take for what I do, this could take 6 months to do research. It might just be a quick interview that you can do in a day. Whatever, there's that writing component. Often you're given a deadline to do this. You'll also probably at the same time you're doing research, read a contract, because they will send you something which is basically a document that says they want to own your entire life. They want to take every bit of value out of your life and give it to their business model. And I'm going to tell you later that you're going to want to fight that. So that also takes time. Then you write it. Writing could take one draft to 50 drafts. I don't know. It's however you get to that thing that you've written. Then it gets edited. We're talking here from your pitch. This could be, we could be 3 months in at that point before you're getting to the edited. In some cases, it could be a year to get edited at a major magazine. And then after editing, we go to fact checking, where after the editor has gone back and forth with you and told you your work sucks, and then you're like, well, how can I make it better? And then they tell you how to make it better, and then they often make it worse. But let's say they don't. Let's say it actually gets better. It then is in this great form, and it goes to fact checking. Well, at some magazines it goes to fact checking. The good magazines, it goes to fact checking, which is where somebody else goes over your work and says, this was right, this was wrong. They will call your sources. They will be sure you are on record. This is a great thing. Do not be upset when a fact checker comes to you and says, you've messed up this one quote and this guy took it back. This person is doing you a favor by being sure you're good. So be nice to that person. And then after it goes through fact checking, it goes to something called top edit. This is where an editor who you probably have never spoken to, is a little higher on that masthead, reads it over and gives his or her input on it. And then it goes to copy editing. This is like the very fine line details. And then after that, it does something called closing, which is where they put it into design. They mock it up. It's in basically a PDF or an InDesign document at this point. And then there's about, depending on the magazine, a 1 to 3 month window at that point for that thing that's already been accepted gets into publication. And then usually, let's say the article that you've put out releases in the December issue of some magazine. That actually means it came out in November, because the release dates are different than the on sale date. I don't know why that is. It's just the way they work. And then usually, depending on your contract, now is when you start to expect to get paid. Now, anyone who's been a freelancer for a while realizes that getting paid is a big pain in the butt, and usually it's you fighting for payment from that magazine. and that can take a little while. And then finally, hallelujah, you got paid. That is the flow of a magazine assignment. And again, this can take the quickest I've ever seen a magazine story get into a print publication. A la Wired, a la Men's Journal, Rolling Stone, has been 3 months. Usually, this is more like the 6 month to year-long time frame to get into those magazines. Okay, web is much, much faster. That can go in literally once you have a relationship with an editor, it could be up like the next day from when you submit it. These are usually not edited very well or very hard. Fact checking is almost non existent with just a few exceptions. There's no top edit, there is a copy edit. And pay, luckily, is usually a little faster. But again, with a print magazine, your pay is going to be much higher than even in that same magazine's web silo. I know that the New Yorker, for instance, pays about $300 for their usually very awesome and well-researched blog posts. People do that because they just want to have New Yorker as a brand, and sometimes that can be useful, but I think that they're probably just like so happy to be in the New Yorker that they undersell. But in general, and because of the traditions for how web appeared in the first place, even though more people will read a web story, you just get paid so much more on the magazine side. You have more room to negotiate for rights on the magazine side than the website. This is something that I think we're going to talk about a little bit more in a later video about where the money comes from and where it moves. And while we're looking at money, though, for just now, I do want to say that magazines monetize their work, right? Publications monetize their work, and so should you. They have ad rates. They have a whole business plan for how they have that big office somewhere where they employ editors. And if they're talking to you in the first place, when you've sent that idea to them, it means that they think that your ideas are valuable and that your ideas fit into their pipeline and your ideas will make them money. Now remember this. We have to bond your creative efforts with the fact that there is value that goes with it. And those things meet, and the magazines realize that you're offering them something that makes money. So even that just them talking to you means that they see that their pipeline, which can be ridiculously long in terms of magazines or very fast in the web, will make them money, and you're part of that process. So that's the nuts and bolts of how things move through publications, and the next video will be specifically about money. Where does it come from? Where does it go? Who's making it? And why are you not doing that? All right, here we go.